You talk about. I think that what you do at the high school level is so important, and you see that there's this really a basketball pipeline that different people, different players go through in order to go from recreation, middle school, high school, onto college, and even on the next level. But you also have the AAU piece that gets put in between there, and it seems that AAU gets a bad rap for what happens in that culture, but it also gives players the opportunity to showcase their talents against top end talent, get exposure in places that they may not. As a high school coach, how do you feel about AAU basketball?
I think that AAU basketball has its pros and cons. Um, the pros, like you said, is you're getting to face top end talent that are all, uh, kind of on. So you might play, say you play the Atlanta Celtics, and they've got six of the top 10 players in the state on that roster. At the same time, you go to Lake Point and you play in the Adidas Gauntlet tournament, and you go in there, and Roy Williams and Mike Krzyzewski and Gino Oriema and uh, Tom Izzo. You look around, and there's players and coaches all over the place. In that gym, because they can come and they can sit down, and they can come to a tournament and in one day see 600 players, whereas
Mhm.
used to they go to a high school game and might see three that
Might see
they're wanting
one.
to
They're
talk
going to
to.
see one.
Might
They're
see
going to see
one.
one player, and you hope that you pop that day.
Yeah, yeah. So in regards to facing top end talent and exposure, those are two of the biggest pros. The cons are some of these AAU coaches give these kids a false sense of identity, false sense of where they are as a player, because they want them to come pay $750 and play on their AAU team. Um, so the coaching aspect of AAU, I uh, I think is a major con, because I don't think I there might be some great AAU coaches out there, but I think for the most part there's a lot of guys out there that really don't know the they don't know the game on the team level. They might know it on an individual skill level, but they also don't have the best interest of their players in mind, and not in regards to them going to college, but in regards to developing and molding young men in away from basketball.
So, what is it like when you're, and let's not make this just too personal, but when you're dealing with a player who has one identity in the school, in your construct of school, versus the identity that they have as an AAU player?
Well, luckily, like at Cornerstone Prep where I coach, um,
No.
all of our kids are all every single one of our kids are school. They're the you look up the word student athlete in the dictionary, and you'll see one of their pictures. I mean, they're the epitome of student athlete. Um, so I don't really deal with that at where I'm at now. But
Hmm.
when I was at Cass and when I was at Cartersville, I dealt with that. Kids come in, and they're not playing a whole lot on our high school team, and you hear them talking to their buddies. Man, I was averaging 15 a game in AAU. I don't know why Coach Blackman's got it out for me. I could be the best player if he just needs to come watch my AAU games. And so that's very difficult to deal with, because the AAU game of basketball is so um, it's so loose. It's officiated very loosely. So kids are getting away with fouls that they pick up two cheap ones in the first quarter of a high school game. They're gonna sit down. Whereas in AAU, they're a lot of times they're allowed to hand check. There's not a lot of off the ball fouls called, in AAU. Um, so they develop those bad habits, and like I've said, as an assistant coach, I've never really had to deal with a parent coming to me and saying, well, why isn't my kid playing as much here as he is on AAU? Because if they do, I just tell them to go talk to the head coach. So I haven't had to deal with that. But those are some of the things that I see as the big difference in high school and AAU ball is the way it's officiated, um, the way kids are allowed to just kind of free flow and do what they want, which isn't a bad thing. Basketball is a free flowing game, but sometimes those AAU coaches that you go to AAU practice and they're doing 3-on-2, 2-on-1 drill for 45 minutes. That not really they're not really learning the game, I guess is what I'm saying.